Hi there, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba. You know my fucking name.
I'm John Humphrey. You probably don't know it as well as his.
Nah, that's not true. Everyone knows John. We have a top reward tier at our Patreon. It basically goes like this. If you request a video, we must do it and put up on YouTube. We actually have 2 coming at the end of this month that are not reaction-based, which is so exciting. But we got a reaction that we're going to do right now to a man named Derek Jeter. Gene Jeter here. We've seen a couple of his videos, and this one is easily the one I am most anticipating from the guy. Okay, I'm gonna give a couple of little background things here. The message he sent me was, here's the link, a monologue from 2013. I had trouble going to sleep one day, but then when I went to bed, I couldn't sleep because I had something to write, which took under 5 minutes. I got a voiceover talent to record, but he didn't want to be credited because of the content. Which made me go, what is this? And this video is called White Privilege, Wouldn't You If You Were White? 22,000 views, which is pretty good for a channel with 3.7K followers. It's really good numbers. And 26 upvotes, 36 downvotes, which has got me like, I'm very intrigued to find out what this is.
I am very comfortable to find out what this is.
I'm half white. I got European in me. We did that DNA test.
Yeah, but you got all like the olive places.
Hell yeah, I did.
You didn't get all the really pale spots.
Yeah, man, because that's where the crime's from. Good. Hope there's lyrics on screen.
It's a lyric video.
Or is that things like
I guess I'll probably catch hell for what I'm about to say, but you know what? It's the truth, so I'm just gonna say it. I love that I'm white. Sorry to say that, but I love that I'm white. Excuse me, I love that I'm Caucasian. Yes, I love it. Why? You know why. We all know why. Because of white privilege. White privilege is incredible. There's no other immunity on the planet outside the human body that can top it. I never have to worry about having my items checked when I enter a train station. I never have to worry about paying first for something to gain trust. I never have to prove what I said is right.
Nice.
It is just correct, like a law almost. This privilege seems to be unlimited. I can get any job I want as soon as they see my white face, but most times I got the job as soon as they read my name on the resume. Sometimes I use this privilege power to fuck with people. I came up to these black high school teenagers around their school and I said I was a detective. Show me some ID. I shoveled so much bullshit. They were nervous. They thought they were going to jail or I'd contact their parents. So funny. What were they nervous about? Another time, I saw a big line forming for some currently popular non-singing urban artist inside the mall, and I told people out front that we were going to start the line outside the mall. Once the first people started moving, all of them followed. Conformity is another amazing power. I once saw this young Latino photographer passing out flyers in the street to promote his work. Nobody was really taking him seriously. It was sad. It was pathetic, actually. So I thought, I wonder if I could get some women to accept me as a photographer, even though I'm not one. Well, I just came up to these 2 hot young ladies and said, hey, I'm a photographer. I don't have any more business cards or my portfolio on me, but I'm the real deal. You don't have to worry. I gave them my phone number, and they gave me theirs. It was totally sweet. I bought a cheap camera, took some okay pictures, and eventually fucked both of them at the same time.
White people.
Well, not exactly at the same time, but you know what I mean. And that's another thing. I never have to worry about getting any kind of woman I want. The smart women know the color of our eyes and the color of our hair with our People magazine faces will be acceptable no matter where we go.
Hey, buddy.
I didn't choose to be white as far as I know, but it is the best thing that was preordained to me. As far as money is concerned, we have money. We look like money. If I don't have any money, I can totally dress and act like I have money and nobody will ever think otherwise. Most times just look clean or on occasion wear a jacket and a tie, I'm good. I like to wear my leather jacket or my motorcycle jacket. I'm good that way as well. Doesn't take much when you're white. I can bullshit about anything too. Say I have a master's degree in a made-up subject. Lots of times, I don't have to bullshit about anything. People just assume I'm smart and must have connections just because I'm white. I must be able to answer this question or help out just because. I know having a pussy is power, but this power trumps pussy. And white privilege, it is never going away either. The minority will soon become the majority, yes, I know, unfortunately, but we will still have privilege over everyone. Hey, it's just the way it is. And like a no-limit credit card, I am just gonna enjoy all the benefits I can. Wouldn't you if you were white?
I deserve that.
Yeah, for being born
This way.
you're doing.
I chose this
You
life.
brought this on yourself.
I was like, oh, clearly that's the easiest.
I'll take
give me that
white.
one.
Option white, yeah. What the What the hell is this other shit?
This is a choice, so why would you choose any other?
People have struggles. This is hard.
What do you mean institutional?
In case you guys don't know, Gene, pure white.
The whitest kids you know.
Whitest dude you'll ever meet. Nah, I actually think Gene is a black man. Blackman. Blacken.
I'm just gonna let you do this.
Black. Black. Anchor man too.
Oh yeah, that excellent sequence.
Yeah, that was more famous than the first one.
I'm terribly sorry. I don't know why I can't stop saying black. The word black.
We're living in interesting times. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, JRE Powerful, and he was talking about, see things on social media about like, don't date white people this, white people that. While there is a thing out there of white privilege, I don't think all white people are bad people. He said with a smirk on his face.
We all just born with an original sin in a sort of societal kind of way.
Comes with its benefits.
That we each need to choose to baptize ourselves from, and try to walk that straight and narrow.
Some people do abuse this power and whatever, but at the same time, I say a statement like what I'm about to say, people will say, well, don't feel that way. People will. There's a part of me that gets like a little concerned for certain white people. It's the time now where people are really taking a stand on things, and a big thing that's happening is, the attacking of like white privilege, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I am intimately familiar with what you're talking
this.
about.
I do get a little bit on the weary side about it because it's unavoidable at this point. It's going to become a political video now of what we're going to talk about.
Everything's political, Greg.
Well, how about this? What's your perspective on it?
On white privilege or this
On
video?
What he's talking about here.
I mean, it was an interesting change of pace, coming from Gene, because this is, definitely a different kind of thing.
Best acted video, too.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was a nice monologue in general. I liked your voice actor and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, I've never thought from this perspective, and it's an interesting one to hear from because it is so bold-faced. So in that way, it is, it's a piece, so it's supposed to be a little larger than life. But I don't know. I'm sure there are people who kind of operate along these lines. Like, the thing about that metaphor, like, white privilege is the kind of thing that you just have to become aware of and then act accordingly in spite of, or just adjust yourself from.
Yeah.
And this is just an indulgence into that thing, and
well, not everyone who responds with the white privilege attitude though responds to a white person a certain way is only white though. Like sometimes these perspectives, these perceptions that we have a natural response to sometimes are from people who are not white. It's like the idea of I might be a brown man, but there are certain things I have not had to deal with simply because I am not a woman.
Oh yeah, privilege. I think like privilege of this variety exists in a whole lot of different areas of life, and I think that white privilege is just the Moby Dick of this situation because most all of those privileges find a convergence point
to the white
in
man.
white culture, and that's kind of the biggest issue is that's why the cis hetero white male is the pinnacle of privilege. And so yeah, I mean, at the moment, in just this moment in time, I feel existentially awkward just because I'm very aware that everything that I am is kind of what the world doesn't need any more of and is up against, which I'm not trying to make this about me in any way, shape, or form, but just, in the quiet moments some days, it is a little bit like, it's kind of weird to be here now, because I want to be benevolent toward the world. I want to be a credit to the force.
Well, boo-hoo white man.
See, that's why I never open up about that feeling either, because then you'll get people, because, it's not a perspective that's ultimately really, I feel like to go and dig that argument up is like way back there when the point is up here. You know, it's not my turn to grab the mic and be like, what about me? Because white folk have basically been what about meing everything for all of time.
I mean,
So-
I get it. It's I was watching some pitch meeting from Ryan at Screen Rant, Super Easy Barely Inconvenience. He was making, I forget what it was, but there was some movie he was talking about in character form. It's just two men who are producer and writer, right? And they were talking about, you know, women taking center stage and empowering them. And it's like, yeah, and it starts with us doing it. It's, and it's the same thing with this scenario, complication of white privilege starts with a white man changing it, like a white man making that decision. It is like hard to find because it just seems like we start approaching everything with hate and attacking. And
that's the hard.
We don't know the scenario, how to go about it in a loving way. You know,
That's the hard part. Yeah, it's
like
just
I don't know.
is because people get heated and people care. People are passionate because these are issues of people's lives, and so it creates a fascinating situation to me because everyone feels stuff if you're involved in a situation, and so the way people talk, it's interesting to hear pointed back at you because I'm sure lots of people get labeled in marginal ways, and so now the amount of times a day I hear the words
Straight white man.
straight white man in an angry voice just makes you very aware of something, and I don't complain too hard about it because I'm sure a lot of other people of other cultures, genders, identities, etc., have had to deal with those things from people who didn't care or were actively aggressive, and so yeah, I don't have like a lot of space to complain about it, but it is a strange feeling now to kind of have that self-consciousness to walk around with and to always be aware of when you're places,
Well, even though it's talked about, and there was an interesting line here they had about the minority will be the majority. That's unfortunate. that line that he said. That is an interesting line because there seems to be a fight for it and a stand for it. I guess the question I ponder is, does it need to be in the form, though, of specifically having to take down white people, attacking and taking them down?
How we dismantle
I
it.
believe, like, address the issue hardcore, absolutely. But do we have to, make all white people feel bad because we have this belief? I'm very close to some people who really do believe that it's flat out impossible to associate the word racism against white people.
That's a fascinating
that's a whole other debate too. Like that, we're going in a whole other territory right here.
Yeah, because you got the technical level where it's like, well, if you're holding anyone's identity against them, technically you are doing that action, but at the same time you've just got mountains of context where it's like, well, your well-being isn't really our concern anymore because, at least systematically, you have oppressed kind of everyone else outside of your club. So it's a shitty behavior either way, but you guys, you've got years of karma points coming your way. So yeah, it becomes one of those strange impasses where there's a technical point for the why you maybe shouldn't do that or why it would be considerate not to, but there's also just a whole bunch to bowl that argument right over,
The main thing I keep up to date with is like entertainment mediums all the time. Like when it comes to like diversity in movies, well, who's controlling the decision of diversity? It's white men usually who are controlling the decision. Well, same thing with women in film. Is that an okay supplement for now to help with the movement, you know?
That's the tide shift, because if like old white dudes were all most of the people in power, then it has to start with the ones who wake up and go, okay, well, at very least, people who buy our stuff want this. So we will make the effort to maybe cast more actors of color or hire more directors of color. And then from there, when that starts to become more prominent, then you'll start seeing more execs of color and
exactly, like the people in power will be more people of color and females and stuff.
Yeah, so since all the gatekeepers, are of that ilk, it's going to have to kind of start with them, but it really starts with the people who raised enough Cain, basically, to catch the attention and get through to those people is where it starts at the bottom, and then the big changes happen close to the top,
Right. But what I'm thinking is we need an all-female Ghostbusters reboot with 4 white women. And let's make one of them a black woman.
the things that film did to our culture. Like, I can't even get excited about the new Ghostbusters because of how ugly that was. I was like, this has ruined a fandom. I don't care how beloved this movie is anymore. There's no reason we should be behaving this way. And that's a fascinating thing about stuff like this too, because the thing I've learned to not love about social media especially is when people discuss relevant political topics or social issues, what you'll start to notice, or what I've started to notice, on either side of the line, people start to behave the same way. And that's a frustrating thing to me, because there's so much back and forth for so little connection. There's a lot of satisfaction that can come into an argument or debate. People love to throw barbs and feel like they're winning too. Like, there's just so much that gets lumped into the way we discuss these things, so it's tricky.
It is tricky, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to go back to people who helped make change in the world in a positive way, that had to take a stand and had to fight for something, but not through violence. You know, like I flashback to like MLK or Mr. Rogers. The greatest white man of them all, by the way. Thanks, Gene, for this video. This is an interesting video. I knew this would be something that sparked a thought to, so
Try not to
appreciate
think
it, buddy.
this way.
Why don't you guys go ahead and subscribe to Gene's channel? He always has things that are thought-provoking. He's like his own, you know what, you're like your own strange version of M. Night Shyamalan, who is already strange. That's what I come from. Your short films, you even have a video from 5 days ago called My Vagina. So you're a strange dude who makes weird things, and I love that you just commit to it,
Yeah,
buddy.
man.
So keep up with it.
That's what art's all about, and you got your own voice.
You got your own voice. I was disappointed with Glass. You guys can subscribe to the Reject Nation. Click that notification bell. And we'll catch you on the flip of the gods.